Right now, right now. 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 Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We got to add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been bigger. Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your weekly morning show where we bring you the latest and everything Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about the massive bottom that Bitcoin just witnessed. We watched this happen live on air yesterday afternoon. Bitcoin dropped all the way down to about $76,000. And as we speak, we are building something called Bullish RSI divergence. If you're not familiar, bullish RSI divergence is where we have lower lows on the price action of Bitcoin, but we have higher lows on the bottom part of the RSI for the same time frame on Bitcoin. Today, we are witnessing bullish RSI divergence form, which very well may mean that we just witnessed the bottom for Bitcoin. It also stands to reason that the bottom may be in as a result of the fact that we finally saw the rest of the Bitcoin CME futures gap from back in late November, early December get filled when we dropped down to about $76,000 yesterday. Very excited that we have a possible bottom forming right now. If not, then of course a bottom down around $73,800 to as low as $67,000 is also possible. But I will say this, I do think that we are closer to the bottom than we are to the beginning of this corrective movement, and I am very excited to bring you everything that we need to cover today to understand not only where Bitcoin is, but also where it's going in the short term, and of course, our application of how we can move forward from here. What should we be doing with this information? How can we generate wealth with this current market? Are there any trades that we see? Are there any investment opportunities that we see? Is there anything that we ought to be doing differently? Again, if you're new here, welcome to the show. My name is Jeb McAfee. It is my dream, it is my mission, it is my purpose to help you succeed when it comes to money, to succeed when it comes to investment and trading in cryptocurrency, and I'm going to walk with you every step of that journey. Thank you so much for being here. Let's give some big shout outs, and we're going to jump right on into the content. We've got over 160 people tuning in live from all over the world. Shout out to everyone who is here today. Beer, bourbon, barbecue, and Bitcoin is in chat. Those are some wonderful things. Coin operators in chat as well. Primitive Hunter 18 in chat. Drian 12-1. Eden Gardening Towers in chat said, good morning, Jeb. Good morning to you as well. Philly Skills 1428 with his brand new blue wrench in chat said, good morning, Jeb and Crypto Fam. Shout out to Philly Skills 1428 and Kryptoni, who both became moderators yesterday. We got hit with some spam and with some bots. We had about 1,400 people watching yesterday. We got some bots, so we elevated and exalted some new moderators. Big warm welcome to them. Thank you guys so much for your support during yesterday's war against the bots, and thank you for your continued support of the channel. We've got a lot of other people tuning in. Thank you all for being here. Mario De Leon being one of the names that jumps out at me. I haven't seen you in a while, Mario. Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. Glad to see you here. Hope you are well. We've got a lot to cover, so without much further ado, let's go ahead and let's dive right on into it. Over on Bitcoin, we are currently trading at $80,565. According to CoinMarketCap, we are a little bit higher than that, around $80,600. We are currently looking at a bit of a rebound from the local bottom that we set yesterday. Yesterday, if you were here, you will remember that we saw a corrective movement coming in on Bitcoin. We were looking at the market right about here. And we said, based on the way that the chart was looking, within just the next few excuse me, it wasn't right here. I apologize. It was right back over here. The chart looks very similar. Right here, we said that we were going to see about $1,000 drop within the next hour. We proceeded to see that drop form about 10 minutes later. We watched the market drop from exactly $78,400 down to $77,400. So we witnessed that $1,000 drop that we predicted happen right before our eyes. Got to watch that. We even looked away onto another screen and took a buy. Later on that day, around 8:30 p.m. to 8:50 p.m., yesterday, which was Monday, Bitcoin set a new cycle low at $76,546. From there, though, Bitcoin had begun a rally, and overnight we rallied all the way up to $82,000 before settling into our current price around $80,500. The reason that we're so excited about this drop is because of something called bullish RSI divergence. If we just go ahead and do a bit of a teaching here, bullish RSI divergence happens whenever a market does something like this, or does something like this, or something like this. We have a downtrend on the price action, but then the RSI does something like this. We have higher lows on the RSI. This can also happen in the inverse, where we act like this and we have an uptrend here, but we have a downtrend on the RSI. This is also an example of bullish RSI divergence. If we cut the middle down here, this is RSI and this is price up here, right? So when we have a downtrend on the price and an uptrend on the RSI, or an uptrend on the price and a downtrend on the RSI, what matters is that there is a difference between the RSI and the price action on the bottoms. You'll be getting what is known as bullish RSI divergence. And if we come back to our current price action, we see that that's exactly what's forming. We have a lower low that has formed on the price action for Bitcoin. You can see that denoted by this blue line right here. But then we likewise have a higher low that is forming on Bitcoin's daily chart RSI, hovering around those exact same points in time, right? We're not drawing levels with bottoms here on February 28th and then also on March 11th, and then we're using March 11th, but we're using data from way back over here. That's not how that works. We want to look at where the RSI was on the exact same day, on the exact same vertical. We can see on these exact same time periods, we have a lower low on the price of Bitcoin, higher low on the RSI. So this is bullish RSI divergence, which is oftentimes an early warning sign that a rally is coming, oftentimes with about 70% likelihood and accuracy. This will predict an uptrend forming in the market. So as this plays out, we've got to start asking ourselves the question, does it make sense that the bottom may be in? Possibly. And one of the reasons I say possibly is because the fear and greed is so low. We are at an even higher level of fear right now than we were yesterday. Right now, fear and greed on the on CoinMarketCap is reading at 15. Yesterday, we were reading at 17. Today, it is at 15. When peak fear occurs, buy. That's your first piece of really, really simple, sound investment guidance. It's not that simple. You need to look at more factors than just that. And if you're going to buy when fear is extremely high, then you would darn well ought to be buying for the very long term, because it is very possible that the bottom is not in and you could drop lower. But what we will say is that as the fear gets very, very, very high, the likelihood that the bottom is in increases. I am not completely convinced that the bottom is in, but I am certainly leaning in that direction. I have a lot more confidence right now that the bottom is in than I have at any other point in this correction. There is still a very large part of me that thinks 67 to 73,000 may occur. But if you'll recall, the Bitcoin CME futures gap has now been filled. It was filled yesterday. Praise God. The CME futures gap was a tiny little gap right here. We had dropped all the way down to $78,610 recently. But the CME futures gap went all the way down to $77,940. Well, as of yesterday, we dropped and we filled that CME futures gap. That CME gap is completely filled now. Let's just take a quick look, see if we can find any other CME gaps. I don't know of any. We don't have any gaps right here, for example. That's not a gap, not a gap, not a gap. Nowhere, nowhere, and nowhere. No gaps anywhere. The next gap beneath us on CME futures that I know of is the gap down here at $20,000 to $21,000. And I would be absolutely shocked if Bitcoin ever visited $21,000 again. I don't think that that's ever going to happen. So the CME futures gap has been filled. So the argument that the bottom for this corrective movement is in is valid. We've dropped 30%. That is a healthy correction. Bullish RSI divergence has come in on our bottoms. Bull markets in past have witnessed standard corrections of between 30 and 40%. So we are looking like we're in really good shape right here. People are looking at this drop right now and they're losing their mind. They're going freaking crazy. Me, I see this as a buying opportunity. See, the reason I see this as a buying opportunity is because we've been able to build something that we call financial sovereignty in our life. We have this position of financial strength, and it's not because we're, perfect. It's because we followed certain laws of money that we teach. We teach 7 laws of money. The first law of money is to choose to be financially sovereign. We are in control of our money. We do not let it rule over us. Our money is a tool that we use to enact our will and God's will upon the earth. We are not slaves to our money. Law number 2, we live on less than we make. Number 3, we have a written plan for our money called a budget, called an investment plan, right? We have plans. One of our plans, for example, is that we buy a certain amount of Bitcoin every single day. We've been doing that now for going on 4 months. We've been buying Bitcoin kind of randomly for the last 7 years, but on a fixed schedule. We've been buying a certain amount of Bitcoin every single day for the last 4 months. We have not yet missed a single day, and we have not yet changed the amount either. The exact same amount of Bitcoin we buy every single day. We have been doing that since mid-December. Very happy about that. And yes, I know that means we've caught the tops up here. And yes, that new about not quite a coin, but getting there, that we've acquired in that time has a relatively high average cost basis. But when you look at our overall portfolio, it's a lot lower. But the point is we have a schedule. We have a plan. Law number 4, we avoid debt. That's what we do, right? We save and invest for the future. We try to be generous however we can. And we remember that's God's money and not ours. And since we follow that, we don't have to be afraid right now. Since we follow our 7 laws of money, we are not afraid when the market drops because we're actually doing money correctly. We're doing it the right way. For a long time, we didn't do it the right way. Now we are. We're doing it the correct way. We understand what needs to happen, right? And so when Bitcoin goes into a drop like this, it gives us this excellent opportunity to acquire more. And so yesterday on stream, we were able to buy the dip. Right before we went on stream, we bought the dip as well. Right, we put several orders in for Bitcoin and several other altcoins because I see this as a possible bottom. So for the first time since 109,000, I am calling that the bottom may be in. This is a warning that the bottom may be in. This is not me fully calling that the bottom is in yet. It's a little bit like the difference between like a tropical storm warning and a tropical storm like evacuation notice, right? This is a warning that the bottom might have just come in. It's very possible that it's in, although there's still definitely this possibility that we're going to drop down to 67 to 73. So if it does drop down there, then fine. We'll load up our bags even more. I like 80 as an entry. I like 73 even more. So if we do drop even lower, that's fine. So let's talk about what happens from here. What happens from here is we've got to put it to the test. We've got to test the idea that the bottom is in. We've got to see whether or not this bullish RSI divergence and the fact that we filled the gap is enough to push us through this level, which is the 20 daily exponential moving average. This yellow line on our chart is one of the most important moving averages in all of technical analysis. It is the moving average that tells us whether Bitcoin is in an uptrend or a downtrend. It's a very important moving average, and it is one that we want to see Bitcoin above. As you will notice, when we're in an uptrend, we're generally above it. Generally, right when you enter into a new downtrend is when we start fiddling around with the 20 exponential moving average, as you can see here and here. The beginning of the 2 major corrections that we've seen so far this year occurred right at the time when we dropped below the 20 daily exponential moving average, and the most recent bullish rally started right here when we broke above the 20 DEMA, and it was confirmed by back tests down to the 20 daily exponential moving average. So with the 20 daily exponential moving average sitting right now at $87,000 over the next few days, with the fact that it's diving very rapidly, if we start to rally up to it, we'll probably intersect the 20 DEMA around $85,000, which means our current test for whether or not Bitcoin is able to break above, go into a new breakout, and this will be our first application. The first thing you can take a note on here is that around $85,000 is kind of the price that we want to see Bitcoin be above, because that'll be roughly where the 20 daily exponential moving average is here in a few days when we might be testing it. And then we need to see if we can stay above the 20 daily exponential moving average, which will be roughly at $85,000 for 3 days. Why 3 days? We've broken above the 20 daily exponential moving average for a couple of hours, multiple times. We've even broken above it for a day or two several times, but we have yet to spend more than 3 days above the 20 daily exponential moving average since this corrective movement began. If Bitcoin, therefore, is able to stay above the 20 daily exponential moving average at $85,000 for more than 3 days, then that is when we will, as a channel, confirm that Bitcoin is now in an uptrend, and that will be an excellent buying opportunity for those of you that are looking to go into long trades, because that is the point in time where you can have a lot of confidence that Bitcoin is going to start testing higher levels like $90,000, which is our baseline support used to be. Now it's our baseline resistance, and see if we can test higher levels like the previous all-time high. $85,000, 3 days above it. That's what we want to look for. We've got Capital Insight Hub in chat saying, hey, Jeb, can you please say what you think of the moving average 50 on the weekly chart? Absolutely. I think it would be prudent for us to continue looking at our other moving averages here. One of them that we want to look at here will be the 50, as was mentioned. Let's go ahead and take a look at the 200 and the 300. Actually, we'll look at the 50, the 100, the 200, and the 300. Let's go ahead and turn the 50 on. There we go. The 50 is currently coming in to give Bitcoin support, which is very exciting. All right, let's turn these others off because they're not doing anything helpful for us. The 50 moving average is essentially the 1-year average price for Bitcoin, and it is sitting immediately below us, right beneath us. This is textbook support architecture. It's sitting right here at $75,000. It's a very good call, very good insight, Capital Insights Hub. And it is the level of support that is also likely holding the market up, not just that CME gap filled. It is also another level of support here above 73.8 that Bitcoin is holding on. If you'll notice, everything in between that CME gap being filled, which was roughly $78,000 all the way down to $67,000, is kind of our range of catchment. If Bitcoin fell all the way down to $67,000, we'd be looking for a smaller rally. Just a smaller rally because the bears showed themselves to be more powerful. If we do bounce exactly where we are right now, then we're looking at a bigger rally because the correction was smaller. That makes sense? Smaller correction, bigger rally. Not just because you're starting higher, but also because the bears are weaker. Bigger correction, smaller rally. Not only because you're starting lower, but also because the bears are stronger. And so if Bitcoin is able to hold this moving average, which I think it will, because we are building a textbook, I'm talking a textbook bull market scenario here. If we're able to hold the 50 weekly moving average, just like we did during the previous correction, all bets are off. We're going on a massive rally. Here's what I think is happening. I've talked about this many times. We'll talk about it again. One of the things that I'm very excited about right now is the fact that this market looks virtually identical to the market that I witnessed when I first got into the space in 2017. In 2017, it was on a slightly different time scale. We got to kind of translate here to a different time frame. But in 2017, we saw the market looking like this. If I were to draw this right here, you'd probably almost think that it's the same market. Like if I didn't tell you and you didn't know the chart as well as I do, you might look at this and say, oh yeah, Jeb's looking at the modern chart. I mean, look at that. Just take a second. I'll take a sip of coffee. I mean, seriously. That's the chart we're about to look at. This is the modern chart. Looks pretty similar, doesn't it? Remarkably similar. I'm looking at the replay right now. Here, let me just pause that. I'm looking at the replay on my phone, so I can see both charts right in front of me. They're almost exactly the same, right? And so when we look at this chart and then we look at the previous chart, then we're able to learn something. Let's learn something. Let's go back over here to this chart in 2017, and let's learn a thing or two. This is the chart that I imprinted in my mind because it was where the market was when I got into the space. The day that I got into the cryptocurrency space was right here. Let's go on BLX just for kicks and giggles. I'll show you how long I've been in the space. And I'll show you and this will be the best chart to do the charting on with as well. If we go on to BLX, this was the time. Move forward a little bit here. July 31st. This is the chart. The chart looked like this. This was the day that I got into the cryptocurrency space. This is the day, right? And so I'll show you how this translates, right? Bitcoin's like, let's see. Where is Bitcoin right now? Bitcoin is right now. This is where Bitcoin is over here. It is March of 2025, and the price is at $80,000. So that's currently where the price of Bitcoin is over here. This is where I got in. Okay, so Bitcoin's done quite a bit since then. Anyway, let's kind of look in there and do our analysis and our comparison so we can learn something about where Bitcoin's going. Going back down to the daily chart, the comparison between these two charts is remarkable. Bitcoin's basically playing out the exact same way, and I think that the rest of the market's going to play out the exact same way 2017 did. 2020 and 2021 was a stunted bull market. Why? Global pandemic. There was a stunted bull market because of the global pandemic. We saw a huge amount of quantitative easing going on. Huge amount of unrest, upheaval. You had the Biden administration coming in and Very anti-cryptocurrency. The bear market probably happened a little bit sooner than it needed to. Very different market. This market that we're currently in is shaping up to look a lot more like 2016-17 than the 2020-2021 bull market. The reason that's significant is because if that's the case, then Bitcoin is here and Bitcoin's going there. If that's the case, then that means this parabolic rally is coming next. So if we zoom in here, here's the comparison. Bitcoin had to backtest the previous all-time high at $3,000. Not only, though, did it backtest the previous all-time high, there was also a level of support. It is called the 200. Actually, I'm sorry, I believe it'd be the 100. Let's take a look here. Yeah, it'd be the 100. The 100 moving average right here that Bitcoin was riding. The 100 daily moving average. As was pointed out in chat, Bitcoin is falling back down to the 50 weekly moving average. Bitcoin at this point in time fell back down to the 100 daily moving average. Different moving average, doesn't matter. The fact is the market structure is the same. We're just on a different time frame, different time scale. That's all it is. Different prices, different time scale, different time, same structure. We're looking at the market structure, not the specific interval, time, price, or indicator. The same kind of indicator, different scale. We drop back to this level, go a little bit below, briefly. I'm talking briefly. We spent a day backtesting the previous all-time high at 3,000. We continue rallying. By the way, fundamentals were awful here. You know what the biggest piece of news was here in September of 2017? China bans Bitcoin for the 12th time this year. That was the news. Right now, the news is theoretically bullish, but not really all that bullish. In the short term, right? We look back at our current chart. If we do this quickly enough, you'll see the comparison. Go back out to the weekly, turn on the 50, and you start to see the comparison. Bitcoin fell back down to a moving average. Bitcoin's falling back down to a moving average right now. If we bounce here at $74, $75, $76,000 and we start to rally, then we built the exact same market structure that happened before. Fundamentals are relatively similar. We just so happen to have a correction going on in the market as we see bearish news coming in. At the time, it was China banning Bitcoin. At this point in time, it's not so much bearish news. It's just that everybody thinks that the bull market is over because the United States hasn't bought Bitcoin yet, basically. We got a bunch of people being impatient. And that's kind of the issue. If we look back here, though, just keep in mind what happened next, because that's what we want to look at. What happens next? What happened next with that market back in 2017 was Bitcoin would go back to its all-time high and then 4x that. It went back to $5,000, and then it rallied 300% beyond that. From the bottom here, at $3,000, Bitcoin would go on to rally 545%. Now, I don't necessarily believe that we're going to have a 545% rally off of a springboard at $74,000. Just mainly because that would take us way into the stratosphere. A 545% rally would just be, goodness, what would that be? That'd probably be what, $480,000, I'm guessing? It'd be $500,000. Do I think we're going to just moonshot straight up to 500K? Probably not. Probably not. But I could see if you adjust that scale factor by an order of, 2 instead of 548, 545, you're looking at, 250. I could see a 250% rally off of there over the course of the next 12 months, up to $250,000. Absolutely, we could. So could Bitcoin bounce off of here the same way that it did in the previous cycle? Yes. Will it? Probably. Is that going to lead us up to $250,000 over the next year? Maybe. A lot of the time frame, the scale, the percentages are different, but the structure itself is the same. What we are predicting right now is a bounce somewhere between $67,000 to $76,000. And from there, over the course of the next couple of months, it's not going to happen in a couple of weeks, over the next couple of months, you're going to see some kind of massive rally forming. It may take as long as August for it to happen, guys. We were in this corrective movement for 200 days. We've been in this corrective movement for 80. Like, it could be July or August before we break the all-time high. It really could be. It could be months that we spend down here. That does not mean this bull market is over. That does not mean that we're not going to break all-time high, and that does not mean that the future is not bright for Bitcoin, because it is. It is very, 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 very bright for Bitcoin. Don't make any mistake about that. So technically speaking, what our chart is telling us, in the short term, we could be looking at a bottom here on Bitcoin. If not, that's fine. We can spend some time down here at 67 to 73.8 to fill in those gaps that we see in the visible range volume profile. The visible range volume profile gap that we've been talking about is being filled as we speak. Just trading sideways down here is filling up this gap. We need to spend some time down here between 73 and 90. Good. I hope we do. I hope we do spend some time down here between 73 and 90 and then break higher. I hope we do, because at that point in time, if we do spend some time down here between 73 and 90 and we break up above $100,000, Bitcoin will never go back into the 5 figures ever again. If it does, it won't go far, because Bitcoin won't just fall down to the point of control here now at the most recent price, at the most recent data, which is 95, say, oh, there's a massive gap below that. Let me just smash through the floor and we'll drop back down to 73, making the bear market even lower, making people even less bullish, even more bearish on Bitcoin, freaking out the regulators, freaking out the constituents that elect the Congress people that appoint the regulators. Instead, Bitcoin, I'm getting very abstract here, so let me draw this visually. Just go ahead and delete everything on the chart. If Bitcoin fills in this VRVP gap right here, in between about 67 and 90, if we fill in this gap when we bounce here, and then we eventually fall and we come and we try and backtest previous all-time high at 109, because that's what's going to happen. We're going to hit 150 and we're going to try and backtest 109 eventually, whether it's this year, or whether it's 3 years from now, whenever. Eventually, we're going to break 109. We're going to backtest it as resistance. Just write that down in your journal. It's going to happen, right? It's just going to happen. When that happens, you don't want us to smash through 109 and fall all the way back down to 73.8. We want to shore up this zone now. We don't want to have, in a sense, a form of debt. We don't want to, in a sense, have a form of debt. Just something that needs to be taken care of, an unfinished to-do down here between 73 and 90. We want that filled. We want Bitcoin to have a trading volume and spend time down here between this gap, so that everything from $0 to $100,000 is done. This is a bit like side questing, right? You know, you're doing a video game, right? Here, let's just do this. You're playing a video game. You go through a level and you skip half of it. And then you go through the next level and you skip half of it. And you go through the next level and you skip 3/4 of it. And then you go through the next level and you're like, crap, I needed these 3 items from these levels I was just playing. And now you got to go back and you got to do them all again. It's a little bit like, you know, you're 12 years old. Your mom tells you, clean up your room. You clean up your room. You clean up your room. And then your mom walks in and she says, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do this. What were you doing? What are you doing? You didn't do nothing. You got to go do it again. And then your mom walks in and says, you still didn't do this, 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 and the third. And instead of spending 10 minutes cleaning up your room, now you got to spend the whole afternoon doing it because you weren't wise enough to do it all right first time. That's what Bitcoin's going to do if it doesn't fill in this gap down here. We've got to zoom out. We got to stop complaining so much about, oh my gosh, oh no, Bitcoin trading at $80,000. Oh no, Bitcoin trading at $80,000. Oh no, you get a good entry for the next rally. How could I? How could you, Bitcoin? How could you give us a good entry for the next rally? How could you do that? By the way, this is the exact same thing that was happening during the last bear market. If you'll notice, there was a massive VRVP gap right here between $20,000 and $30,000 that didn't get filled. This 2-week period is why the entire bear market had to happen. Bitcoin had to backfill this. And you know what? It did backfill it beautifully. And we saw hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars get wiped out from companies that went bankrupt during that time because Bitcoin didn't take its time. Our current market structure that we're dealing with today has to do with the fact that at this point in time, COVID happened. We saw a huge amount of quantitative easing start in the next few months as the money printer went burst. More specifically, the Fed started purchasing mortgage-backed securities and treasuries, injected $5 trillion into the market. People needed something to do with the money, so went and bought Bitcoin. Bitcoin skyrocketed, left a huge gap. I mean, I'm talking a huge gap. Watch this. You can't see it on visible range volume profile over there right now. VRVP tells us everything. Left a huge gap. FRVP, fixed range volume profile. Frap. It auto-corrected to frap. Yep, we got it with the Frappuccino business. That's what we're doing. Now, look at this gap right here. See it? Right there. Previous all-time high, 30K. There's nothing there. Nothing there. Look at the visible range volume profile. There's plenty there. How'd that happen? Because we had a bear market that filled it. There was a gap, it got filled. People talk about CME gaps. I talk about VRVP gaps. If we do not fill this VRVP gap right here in between the previous all-time high and this big old rally, if we don't fill this gap, because this market right here is the exact same thing that Bitcoin did right there. If we don't fill that, we will in the next bear market. And the bear market bottom, instead of being $100,000, will be $73,000, and the bear market will be a lot deeper. What you are looking at right now are bear market bottoms happening in the middle of the bull market. What you're looking at right now is strong market structure being built to support the next phase of the bull market. And if we don't spend time down here between $73,800 and $90,000 and fill in this VRVP gap, which we're starting to do, but it's not done yet. We need to spend a couple of months down here. If we can't fill in that gap, then mark my words, we will during the next bear market. I would much rather the gap be starting at 109. Bitcoin rallies up to 200. We just moonshot to 135. There's a gap between 109 and 135. We drop back down to 109 as our bear market bottom, $2 trillion market cap. Bitcoin bounces off of 109, goes to 400K in the next cycle. That's what I'd love to see. But if we can't stay down here and fill this gap, then we're going to end up dropping down to 73 instead. So I want the bear market bottom that's coming in a few years to happen at 109, not at 73.8. So I want Bitcoin to spend time down here. I hope and pray that Bitcoin spends the next 2 months down here at $73,800. I hope it does. I hope it does. Because if we don't now, we will later, and the bill comes due. The bill comes due. And if you know anything about financial sovereignty, one of the things that we talk about is don't owe people money. Don't have a bunch of to-dos that aren't done. Don't fill your house with a bunch of crap that ain't finished. It's stressful. Oh, no man anything except love. Romans 13:8. The Bible says it. Oh, no man anything except love. Do not be in debt in the monetary sense. Don't leave an apology wanting that needs to be given. Don't leave, in this case, if we can help it. Now, we can't control the market, but market, speaking to Bitcoin, hey, Bitcoin, you listening? Don't leave this gap here because you're going to have to fill it later. You're going to owe it to the market itself. You're going to owe it to the traders later to fill that gap. You don't do it now. Fill the gap. Fill the VRVP gap. It happens every time. Eventually. So let's do it now. Let's allow this market to progress in a healthy manner without going on Twitter, without going on X and Instagram and TikTok and saying the Bitcoin bull market is over. Without going on the market and saying, without going on social media and saying that Bitcoin's dead, time to sell everything. Let's not start diminishing the value proposition and the future of our treasured asset, Bitcoin, and denigrating the future prospects of Bitcoin simply because we can't be patient enough to fill a gap. It takes understanding to understand the way these markets work. This is why technical analysis is so important. Today's lesson is mainly on the visible range volume profile and why it is the single most important technical indicator in all of Bitcoin technical analysis right now, because it's telling us why this correction is happening. And not only is it telling us why this correction is happening, it is also telling us why it needed to happen and why it happening is one of the best things that could happen to the overall health of the Bitcoin market. So what do we do about it? If Bitcoin manages to hold 67, that means the bull market is not over. If we start dropping below 67 and we drop down to like 50, oh yeah, bear market's on. It's on, baby. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I don't think that's where we're going with this. I think we're dropping down into this zone and we're going to bounce and we're going to rally. And if so, this is an excellent time to purchase. We're doing that. We buy every single day. We bought the dip yesterday. We bought sub $80,000 twice, and we've also bought a bunch of altcoins down at that point in time when the entire market was down there. I personally believe that this is that we're approaching the bottom in price of this correction. I don't think we're done in time. I think we're going to spend a few months down here, but I don't think we're done in time. But I do think we're getting closer to the bottom in price, and so we're accumulating. Right now, we're accumulating. We sit on a hoard of cash in case anything ever hits the fan. We're going to be fine. We don't have to touch our Bitcoin. We sit on a bunch of cash so that I don't ever have to do what I've done in the past, which was sell Bitcoin. I don't want to sell Bitcoin. Man, if I hadn't sold Bitcoin, we'd have more Bitcoin right now than we had. What kind of stupidness is that? Now, we got a good deal on a lot of it, but still. I mean, I made 15x on it, but still. It's dumb, right? Bought it at 3, sold it at 45. What is that, 15, right? But that was really dumb, and I wish I hadn't done that. I look back, I'm like, man, one of my biggest financial regrets ever is selling Bitcoin. It was absolutely stupid. I was so stupid with the way that I ran the business and the company. I was paying myself lower than 4 of my employees. 4 of my employees were making more money than me, and then I would just sell Bitcoin to pay myself more. It was upside down. It was inside out. It was plumb backwards and stupid. It was really freaking dumb. And we've learned how to not be that dumb, and we don't run the business like that. We pay ourselves first. We pay ourselves well and good money because we've earned it. And we don't sell Bitcoin for anything. I'm not selling. You can pry it out of my cold, dead hands. Oh, wait, you can't, because I'll take the keys to my grave. They're for my family and for us, period. You're not getting it. I'm not selling Bitcoin. We sell a bunch of cash so that we don't have to sell it. And I encourage you to do the same. Have your fully funded 3 to 6 months emergency fund with no debt and do good work at your job so that you're not going to get fired or laid off. And if you do, make sure that you have people that you can go to and say, hey, I need a job, right? Put yourself in a strong financial position so that you can be a strong investor. People don't understand why they say investors are hoarding cash. The reason they hoard cash is because they want to be aggressive. The amount of cash that you have in reserve has a lot to do with how aggressive you are able to be in investment. You don't want to be the desperate salesman who's terrified that if I don't get this next deal, I don't eat. Nobody buys from that guy because he's desperate. It doesn't smell good. It doesn't smell like success. Somebody's going to try and sell me something. I want them to have a bit of a, I don't need you mentality. Don't say that to me. That's rude. But I want to know that you're good enough at what you do and the product that you sell is good enough that you don't need me. Honestly, I don't want to be the only sale you've ever made, right? I want to know that you're actually good enough at this. And the market looks at you and says, hey, you're desperate. I'm going to annihilate you because your fear is going to get you destroyed. So come at the market from a position of strength. Obviously, it's not as simple as just saying, I'm going to be strong. You need to do what it takes to get yourself into a position of strength and then do everything you can to maintain that position of strength. Let's read some chat. I really appreciate all of you guys for being here. Queen asks, how much coffee do I drink in a day? I typically limit myself to 2 cups of coffee a day, and I also kind of have a rule of myself to drink at least 16 ounces of water for every cup of coffee I have. So that's kind of the way that I do that. All right. Hey, Jeb, bullish divergence on the 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour daily, and very soon on the weekly. That's right, Lars. That's exactly what we've been talking about. Very exciting time for Bitcoin. You sound like Dave Ramsey, LOL. Well, that makes sense. We're both using the same source material. It's spelled the B-I-B-L-E. Right? It's the Bible. Jeb was yelling at 16K. I should have done more. Yeah. You know, I was shouting from the rooftops, buy, when Bitcoin was at $16,000. One of my employees bought at $16,000. Turned around, sold the Bitcoin, bought himself a brand new car. Made a bunch of money. Very cool. He rode up in a car with 10 miles on it and said, hey, you see that car over there? I said, yeah, what about it? He said, I just bought it. Thank you. Like, wow, that's so cool. Kryptoni said, just so y'all know, he's putting pressure on the market to force the Fed to lower rates so we can refinance the government debt at a lower interest rate. Yeah, that's exactly what Trump is doing, I think. I believe that's exactly what's going on. It's all 4D chess. Market's going through a dive right now. You know, Jerome Powell has basically said, because Powell technically can't be fired by the president, Jay Powell has pretty much said, hey, I'm not leaving, and I'm not really going to do whatever the president tells me to do. He doesn't have the authority to do it, which is kind of funny. But Trump is pretty much, you know, being Trump and being, you know, doing the art of the deal. And he's a New York street fighter. That's how Trump operates. He doesn't play games. He will basically kill you and then sell you a coffin, right? That's how he plays. And so that's what he's doing to Jerome Powell right now. He's trying to crash the market. He is, and so the Fed will lower interest rates to try and stimulate economic growth. And then, like you said, they can refinance the debt and get the interest payment down. And then, you know, they're going to lead that into the future of just the way the market's going. So, no, I agree. I think that to a great degree is what's happening right now. And it's also a pleasant, for Trump and his and his plans, it's also a pleasant byproduct of these tariffs, right? If you're going to crash the market, why not try and manipulate the Fed while you're at it? All right. All right, guys. Hope you've enjoyed today's stream. If you did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you've not already, make sure to sign up for the Financial Sovereignty Academy with the link in the description box down below. We're going to teach you everything that you need to know about money. If you want to learn how to succeed with money from somebody who's done it wrong and done it right, then you found the best place to do it. We have something called FSA, the Financial Sovereignty Academy. I want to teach you how to succeed with money in every single sense of the word. At the end of the day, if we do not invest in our education in a certain subject, we should not be surprised when we are not very successful in that arena. And so I want to share with you our Financial Sovereignty Academy, where I'm going to teach you how to forsake foolishness, how to declare war on the chaos in your life, how to choose to be financially sovereign. We're going to do that over here in FinSov Academy. So make sure you come, sign up, go through our hours of content and learn everything that you need to know about succeeding with money, declaring war on debt, saving for the future, investing for the future, being generous, converting money into a prosperous and joyful life. Learn how to do all of that with the Financial Sovereignty Academy with the link in the description box down below. We've helped a ton of people succeed, and we can help you too. We also, as always, do financial coaching. If you'd like to sign up for financial coaching with me, yours truly, make sure to sign up with the link in the description box down below. I would love to meet with you personally and help you walk through anything that you are dealing with financially in your life. Help you guys. Hope you guys have enjoyed today's stream. Thank you guys very much. We're going to wrap it out. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.